One deciding factor can dictate if your track gets placed in a huge trailer campaign or sits there and collects dust on the shelf. That factor is memorability. The question you should ask yourself is, how can you make your track more memorable to create a lasting impression and to increase the chances of being in demand? Going through medical school and working in the medical education field taught me one principle over and over again. Humans think in patterns, and our memory works most efficiently through bite-sized chunks of repetition. With trailer editors and music supervisors, you often get only one listen, or even just the fragment of it. So if we want our tracks to be memorable on the first listen, it makes our life so much easier when we create what I call a signature pattern. This signature pattern is a small unit of characteristic and interesting sounds for your track that makes it memorable through its distinct sound and repetition. These sounds can be melodic fragments, sound design elements, rhythmically interesting noise, or a combination of these. It has to be interesting and catchy. Let's create such a signature pattern together. It will be the foundation of track 2 of my upcoming EP Omicron and is therefore a real-world example. So, I want our signature pattern to be 4 bars long, and I'll use gritty synth sounds that can pierce through the mix straight into the hippocampus of our listener. This track will be bold and aggressive, so I'll pick an accentuated strong rhythm. Something like bata 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 bam, doom doom doom, bata 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 bam, doom doom doom. Let's reinforce the rhythm with a couple of synths of the same rhythm. Now it's time to add memorable sounds to this pattern that help giving the track a character that you remember. I chose 2 signature sounds, number 1 and number 2, and stretch them over 4 bars. We have to make sure things don't get too boring. In order to do that, I'll add a different ending to the second repetition of the pattern, similar to how a drummer would add a fill at the end of a phrase. Our 4-bar pattern now turned into an 8-bar building block. We gotta fill the frequency spectrum and definitely add some highs and lows to this mid-heavy synth barrage. A snappy 16th bass pulse will add anticipation and drive to the pattern, and a sub-bass again doubles the rhythm. Bada 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 bam. For the highs, we'll add an alarm and a hi-hat groove. Alright, we successfully constructed a signature pattern and spread it out over most of the frequency range. But don't leave yet. Now we're ready to build our song around it. We start off the track by simply introducing the signature pattern to explain to the listener what this track is all about. Then we'll repeat it over and over again while adding interesting elements to the track. Sometimes you won't even clearly hear the pattern, but it's there in the background. With this 4 or 8-bar signature pattern, we built a sort of billboard sign that makes us memorize and remember the track later on.
Ah, it was the one with the bada 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 bam.
From here, you can build up the track, add drums, synths, textures and effects, and escalate it into a big climax. I've got one bonus tip for you. Before going into that, if you find this very practical, hands-on approach of combining awesome music with valuable lessons on the way helpful, do subscribe to the channel and make sure to have the notification bell activated. So the extra tip that can massively help your track work after establishing an awesome signature pattern and repeating it to create memorability is to completely remove it in one part of the track. I like to do this in the final part before the huge climax, so I can bring it back full force in the track's epic resolution and close the circle. The listener will notice it, consciously or subconsciously, and recognize the signature pattern as something special and worth remembering when it's gone and comes back. We talked about memorability a lot. So what should you memorize? If you want your trailer tracks to get those sweet placements, it's super important to keep in mind that it takes multiple impressions of something until it settles in our memory. Do not be afraid to use repetition. In most of the cases, cinematic trailer music is consumed by non-composers who value catchiness and memorable recurring themes over scientifically calculated time signature changes. Here you can find more videos where I explain important parts of the trailer music formula hands-on. See you there.